Alrighty, so pro tip, don't end the world. It's very funny to me that the wanderer or the stranger or whoever just stands completely still while that entire thing plays out. Doesn't, like, warn Atris Gen's behind him, doesn't react in any way to Gehn dooming us to die here. Doesn't fight over the missed linking book. Doesn't even like motion to like catch the book or anything when he disappears, which would have been really easy because he's just standing right in front of us. Like we could have even caught the book and linked back to Mist. At which point we are very likely an able-bodied person who could defeat the asshole who is probably 70. And, at least not be doomed to die. We could stop Gehn. We could stop Gehn. I know, it's like the protagonists are kind of all framed as, like, pacifist types and so on, which I get. But you are going to die. Like, maybe it's time to be a little desperate when you're going to literally die and all that. 'Cause that's upsetting. But, no, just watches them take off and just stares into space while we all die, and then I guess the guard just wanders off in a direction to stare at a wall till he dies or something. So did I do any of this correctly, or did I do something wrong? The button? Uh-oh! No, please work. Uh-oh, spaghetti-o. Uh-huh. I take it these aren't, like, set up. Okay, well, it's not the end of the world. I have access to all 5 locations. I just need to go back in and, get it to work. I guess by... It's hard to get around, so I probably just need to rotate this room. That's rough. Oh well. Alrighty. Let's find out what I did wrong. Alright, I am under the Golden Dome planet. Island. So why aren't you working? Oop. I can't rotate this. It looks like it's already set to the correct one anyway, because I'm from the one that has that's just a dot. That's just the loading mechanism. I guess what does it do if I do it more? Oh. You press it one more time and a button happens. Yeah, okay. Uh-huh. Alright, time to do that 5 times. If I can keep track of which ones I've been to also. No, that side up. Oop. Alright, so vertical and dot are the ones I've been to so far. Well, we get to see a bunch of cool, pretty lasers back to back all of a sudden. Uh-huh. Things always just looming. Haven't been there yet. Boop boop boo. Do. Do. 3 down. All right, I said vertical, right? So vertical and dot, and this one's slightly harder to remember. All right, so horizontal eye. Let's look for something else now. Vertical eye. So next up will be horizontal line. Okay, so I'll fix it on that fact, because that'll be easy to remember. So the last one will be the horizontal one. That's a line. And we will get through this disaster with fewer whoopsies than I could have had. Bing! It's a cool rainbow laser. Just in time for Pride Month. Let's go ahead and rotate our axes and explore in this direction. Let's see if I can spot it. Nope. Okay. Let's flip over because it's clearly on the other side then. And there it is. Last one down. Isn't that satisfying? Yeah, this is actually the ideal way to do it. It was, supposed to ignore me doing it in the wrong order a minute ago. That's funny. Ooh, a musical cue. That's how you know you're doing good. It's also why every single video in this series is in revenue sharing mode, because the soundtrack cues are all not safe for YouTube. Not fully safe for YouTube. They're not blocking the videos. They're not even demonetizing the videos, but they are revenue sharing all the videos. Which is funny. That means that the money for the videos is going to the soundtrack people, but not to, like, people that made the game. Like, if anyone's gonna share the revenue. There we go. So unless I blanked, we should be going right back to the Golden Globe place. We'll jump cut though, because I have to rotate the room again. We're back. Every time I have a jump cut where I have to wait for transit or doors to rotate or whatever, I get in arguments in the comment section with people watching the earlier videos in the series that all disagree with me about whether or not the ages are created or described. I think by and large I've made my case by now, or if not, whatever. I'll write about it at some point, I'm sure. Can't go that way anymore. I guess it worked. Ooh. Such colorful orbs. Oh, okay. I thought I was being crushed for a second there. Having a normal one. Oh, is it time for the upsetting golden grid that's really complicated? It wasn't. It was here, wasn't it? What? Uh-huh. Oh, it's less complicated than last time. It's... There was so much. Last time I think it was this size of a grid, but also a 5x5 grid of 5x5 grids or something insanely, like, complicated like that, where it was genuinely like, why did they do that? Hello? Hello? See the big mine hole over there. The various holes in the water. Do 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 do. All right. Well, whoa, closer than I thought I was. All right. Eh? Was that? No. That. But also this is happening. Wait, can I not move? Okay, you can move them. But not past each other. Okay. This definitely is not going to work. But this is the same grid the other island thingy had, so this layout might be what they want from me. But I need to figure out which color is which. I keep thinking that that tab is where I'll find my notes. Okie dokie. Is it gonna be time for you? Fire marble, power method, strike, force compensation. Okay, so each of these islands had its own thing. Let's see. So it's -6, -4, +9. Oof. Okay, let me just write these out for a second here. So I said that the next 4 symbols... I need to do a little Catherine scribble real quick. There we go. The next 4 symbols, because 9 is a horizontal line with a square, the square / rectangle being the representation of 4, our 4th digit. So we have line, curve, K, square, then a horizontal line with line, curve, K, square. So next we need the curve. So now we'll be doing just a curve, but it's on the bottom of the screen facing, like, bulging upward. So that's 10. So then 10 with a vertical line is 11. That curve with a K, no. That curve with a second curve on the left side is 12. So that means that this right here is 12. This guy right here is 12. Then next up would be a curve on the bottom and a K on the left for 13. And then a curve on the bottom and a square on the bottom right, because of how weird the offset that symbol is, would be 14. Alright, I've now written them out to 14. I could do that again by then putting K on the bottom and doing those 4 symbols again would be 15. 15 would be a K on the bottom, and then the 4 symbols on it would be 16, 17, 18, 19. So that just keeps looping like that. This here is a curve and a square on the bottom right corner, so that's what I just said was 14, so that's how far I wrote into the system. Okay, so these numbers mean -6, -4, +9, +12, +14. It's a little funny that Gehn uses our addition and subtraction symbols. So there's yet another number system being introduced into this story. Especially interesting because Gehn... I don't know if Gehn even has a history with Earth people or not. Maybe. I don't know what the gap of time is between him going to school in Dunny, then the downfall of Dunny happening when he was kicked out. Yeah, I'm making stuff up here, but I think he was evacuated or sent off to like a boarding school type situation, or like sent off to family in some distant linking book. I don't think he was sent to like Arizona or anything. I don't think he went to English like school in America, but I could be wrong. But if he didn't go to school in America, it's funny he's using plus and minus because I don't know. But maybe if we want to get really fun with it, we could hint at the idea of the like maybe he does this because there's common ancestry between Earthlings and Dunny, because that's the kind of inherent implication of the fact that Dunny is, if I remember correctly and I'm interpreting Uru correctly, I believe that Dunny is just underneath the American Southwest. Like, it's a big city in a giant underground cavern, and I think people didn't generally go to the surface, but instead linked to all these other worlds, which is kind of funny and fitting in its own right, because in all these other stories, every like world you link to is like a super small area that's like isolated by surrounding ocean and other boundaries. And it'd be interesting to unpack that, because if they were a group of people that didn't really globetrot, but instead just lived in a cavern city, their entire conception of worlds that they would build might always be these like video gamey boundary defined areas, which is might be why Mist is a little island, Riven's a little island, and generally speaking, whenever you go to anywhere in a Mist game, you can't go very far. I'm not going to revisit every single world ever. I'm probably wrong about something, but at least for the first couple of games, comparing that with Uru is funny. Because they're all these very restricted little locations. And this isn't really much of a retcon, because I think the Book of Atris was written right after Mist came out and before Riven came out. I think it sets up Riven, but was published before Riven, and it probably was easy to publish because Mist was such an upsettingly, insanely popular video game. Like, it was so successful that the idea of getting any kind of book out of that was probably sounded really lucrative at the time. Could be wrong about the timeline, but I think it came out before Riven, so we knew about Gehn from the book first if we read that, which I don't know how much people did that. I barely knew Mist existed back then, because I was I want to say like 3 to 5 years old when it came out and 7 years old when this came out. I tried Mist once on my grandma's computer with zero context and had no idea how to play it. Just genuinely did not comprehend, because I had so far been playing games like Ninja Gaiden and Battletoads and Mario, and just didn't understand what I hadn't played a PC game before, so like I wasn't even ready for Doom technically, let alone Mist. I just did not comprehend what the verbs were or how I interacted with it. It was kind of scary. That's what my main memory of really old games that are all pre-rendered is that they were oddly, like, creepy. And I don't know if everyone else shared that vibe, but given that everything else was a hyper colorful, super low detail pixel blob game with jaunty little do-do-do-do-do video game sounds, a oddly realistic, pre-rendered, gritty brown game was... I played a few different point-and-clicky typey games that I somehow came across back then, and couldn't make headway in most of them because I was so young and didn't have the context. But I think they were all really creepy back then for some reason, and that wasn't because they were intentionally made. So it was just the contrast between that and what you thought a video game was in the 90s. It was weird. It was weird if you came from a Super Nintendo to these games. Anyway, So, don't know what to do with this. So, -6, -4, 9, 12, 14. Is there like a middle? There isn't really a middle. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, yeah, there's 3 things either side. There's literally not a middle. This is the 0, if we were trying to assume that there was a 0 in the middle. So it can't just be 0, -4, -6, plus 14, and so on. Although that would fit. There is less than that many pips in that. No. No. Yes? No. It's cutting it close. I think there might be like 13 pips. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13. There's 13 per, there's 26 overall, 13 on each side. So you actually can't do a plus 14 anyway. So each dot has a value. Each eye has a number then. Not you. Oh boy. Okay, so each of these eyeballs somehow has a number that I then... Yeah, force compensation. So what is the numeric value of a horizontal line? Huh. Can I take these with me? Kind of. Oh, well, I'm gonna pick it back up now. I'm just like, I'm wondering, like, should I take these back to Gehn's lab? And, like, use the thing to measure the correct strike force? At the very least, I need to load them all onto this thing, but I don't... That's a lot of trips, right? Because I can't apparently put them in my knapsack. There's nothing else around here. Let's see, how would I get to Gehn's lab? Because Gehn's lab's not even here. It's on Volcano Island, which is not super accessible because you have to take a rail there from Forest Island. So the fastest way to get there is probably via the system over here. But even that process means grabbing one of these, going outside there, rotating the room until it lets me go that way, going through that system, probably not what they expect you to do. It's so far away that I doubt they expect you to test them individually. Here's a question. Did I screenshot my solution? I don't think I did. So it's right here. I got this thing to glow. So it should be currently set to the correct number. But I didn't screenshot it. But like, this math says this minus this each time, which you might take to indicate that these are 5 separate variables that are represented by 5 different numbers. But it could just be indicating which marble is offset by these. It might just be saying that this is how much you need to offset each marble. But that the same base value for marbles might still be the constant. So if I check what the thing in the lab says, then I have my basis and I can do the math from there. That is worth at least checking to see if that works. And I don't have screenshots of that particular outcome apparently, but I'm a Let's Player, so I was recording the whole time. So I'm just gonna look at my own recording real quick and save myself like 20 minutes of running back and forth. Mwahahahahaha. The power of looking at my own footage to see that. There it is. So it's like, it's 9. It's just before the second big pip. So it's at 9. 9 is the base value, if I'm right about what things mean. All right, let's get back to the game. All right, so I don't really have to worry about what each color means because you can't slide them past each other, I'm pretty sure, right? Right. Okay. So this is the base value right here. So it's -6, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh god. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. Boop. this is the base value. I'll mark it here again. And I don't remember the other numbers. 9, 12, 14. So 5, 10, 1, 2, 3, 4. 12 should be right under that. 5, 10, 10, 9. This is right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We'll just double check. Yeah, 4, yeah, -6, -4, 9, 12, 14. Okay. So that's probably right. But I don't know if it's right until all of these are correct. Which... manageable? Manageable. Manageable. So... okay, they have colors. Let's start with that. So, red, orange, green, blue, purple. We already know what order they're in and what their numbers are. So this is -6, -4, +9, +12, +14. I don't know why I'm writing down the math part right now, because I've already done that part. Oh well. But what we do know is that that means that, yeah, they are already in order. So -6 is red, and that one is a horizontal eyeball that's open with a vertical beam in it. Orange is just a horizontal closed eye. Green is just a dot. And blue is a vertical open eye with a dot in it. And then purple is a vertical closed eye. Off the top of my head, because I've just been through it multiple times, I know that this dot is us. Right here. Okay, so this is where we are right now, because this is also the map of the world. And so I know that this one is the one that is just a dot, because we've been over this multiple times. So that one is going to be green. Alright, so green's in the right spot. And then via the notebook, I should be able to figure out at least some of these. Okay, yeah, I was taking screenshots of these. Cool. Volcano is the vertical slit, and vertical slit is purple. So volcano is purple, which means top left is purple. I like realizing that I can solve all of this without leaving. And I have all the tools that I need. I hope. Really cringe if I was wrong. Battery Island needs to be horizontal. Horizontal is orange. No, it was already there. Orange is already on the bottom. I just like reflexively moved orange. Because as you can see here, don't look at this part because it was me. This is when it was wrong still. This is an L shape in the bottom left corner, so it's these ones. So this one is orange, and this would be the big one. So that would, and that's, yeah. Because we need to think about them in that context. Yeah, because this is top right. This is only one square, so that's the only square that the island, that's the person island can be on. This one's an L, this one's a 2x2 square, this one's the rest of the remaining top part, and this one's this huge area. So each of these is technically within the piece that it's from. I thought that the logic was going to be where is the golden globe on each island, which makes sense to me, but it's not. Not gonna lie. The fact that those don't match up, it seems a little dumb to me. Pretty sure they don't match up. Like, yeah, this can't be here because that's where the throne room is, right? Ah! Oh no, right. When I was trying to solve them before, I had them in the wrong places. I had the islands in the wrong places, so my input was wrong. But no, I think they are on the right places on their islands. This is maybe the only dubious one. Because it's not right at the boundary, so maybe it should be over here. But also, this island is so huge that maybe it being not that far from the boundary still means it has to be on the boundary. Okay, yeah, so these do match up with the locations that each of the 5 golden globy thingies are. I guess they're not gold. Well, they are gold. They're gold in the Starry Expanse, but they're eyeball spinny balls here. Well, they become gold when you open them. Anyway, fuck it. What have I not done yet? Volcano, battery. I remember doing those ones. Prison is a vertical open eyeball with a dot. So the top right is blue. Also, logically, the 2 that since it hasn't done anything yet, the 2 that I haven't done are the ones that are wrong. Uh-oh. Did I photograph any other ones? Ah, these also tell me. Volcano's vertical. The one that I need to double check is the forest one, which is, yep, that's the symbol for red. Okay, these are in the right place. Those are in the right place. Does that make it? Is that how you confirm your answer? Maybe. It looks like there's a dot. Was I a good boy? Was I a good boy? Ah, it's doing a thing. I probably just beat the game. We're probably done here. Let me get my journal out of the way so I can do several bad endings, probably. Okay. Save. Hi. Who made a new planet that looks like something a Sith would make? Oh, yes, you did. The bad guy. How did you get all the plateaus to float up there? Is it a metaphor for how every planet you make is unstable? Because, like, damn. It's like you did it on purpose. Why'd you make Christmas trees out of rock? That's just a weird goal again. It's time for Daddy Charles Dance to be mad at me. Yep, he also denoted the origin point of this planet and also made a trap on it. He's consistent.
I apologize for the cage.
No, you don't.
I'm afraid this situation has often required a more primitive code of conduct than I might otherwise have chosen.
I saw you shoot your son.
I am Gehn. I assume you've heard of me. Yes. Well, I suspect you have acquired some false information of who I am now. Not that my son would have lied to you about me. No, not Atris. It's just that, well, I'm sure he believes me to still be the depraved father I once was. Yes. I even tried to kill him once. God, if I had accomplished that, who knows what I would have become. A great father indeed, who tries to murder his own son. Thankfully, he trapped me on age 5, a prison of my own creation. No books, no precious inks, no ages to link to, nothing but my own foolish ambitions. That was 30 years ago. 30 years, 30 lifetimes, what does it matter? No sentence could be too harsh for the man I was. But I have changed.
This is very funny.
Be sure the deeds of my past can never be completely atoned for, but my mission was an honorable one.
No, I can't pause to talk.
I'm sorry, this is all a bit awkward. It's been a long time since I've attempted to persuade anyone of my intentions. Most of the people here have already made their minds up about me one way or another. I myself do not trust the words of most men, so I don't expect you to believe me. In the end, though, you may discover that I do have more than mere words to offer. Atris's choice of punishment has been hard on the people of Riven. Many have suffered because of it. The island has been steadily decaying for years, but according to my most recent measurements, it appears that the 5th age has entered its final days. Unless the villagers can be relocated soon, the island will collapse entirely and everyone will perish. It has taken me a long time to do it, but it appears that finally I'll be able to make some substantial amends to my past transgressions, especially in... well, I'm afraid I've had some trouble with Catherine and the moiety. In any society, there will always be a small percentage of the population with rebellious tendencies. Before Catherine appeared, the moiety, as they call themselves, had been relatively harmless. I mean, the natives here are a fairly violent people by nature, but I'd almost come to accept their presence. Upon Catherine's return, however, their violence intensified considerably. It seems she's become some sort of religious savior to them. As far as I can tell, she's come to believe this herself. So I've had no alternative. I had to separate her from her people. The actions of Catherine and the moiety have put my own life at risk on numerous occasions. Consequently, the lives of all the people here. Therefore, I must ask you to refrain from any attempt to free her. Although I'm sure Atris desires it. Indeed, he must desire it with all his heart. But he is completely unaware of her recent state. Which brings me to the point of all of this. The linking book you brought with you. You're very fortunate to have recovered it. If I may. Thank you.
He's just so aggressively full of shit the entire time. It's unfortunate the pages are glitching out.
Perhaps it would be best if you went through first.
Can I save? Can I save? Ah, damn it.
You may need some time to decide. That is reasonable. Please understand, there is nothing I want more than a chance to resolve matters between Beatrice and myself, especially in light of what has become of Catherine. But unless you are willing to demonstrate to me that your intentions are honorable, I cannot risk it. The sanctuary I've been writing for the islanders is nearly complete. After all these years, it would be a shame if I were unable to finish it. The work I am doing is quite demanding. Please don't signal me unless you've decided to use the book.
Is that a linking book back to Riven, right? Whoa. Weird teleport. Why is this book to Riven so clear? That's clearly Gehn's place. Beatrice has the actual Riven book and it's freaking out and glitching out the whole time. So why is this linking book so clear and fine? That doesn't seem to make sense. Am I even allowed to use this, or is this a force field? I'm trying to remember if using the book is the bad ending or not. Putting yourself in the prison is the bad ending that they trick you into doing in the first game. Both of the siblings trick you into doing that. Oh, the book sends me back here. Rude. It's so far away. Got a bit of a jog to go on now. It's like taunting me about the fact that, hey look, it's the number. At least now I know it, at least I can confirm it was right. Ta-da! Alright, well, gotta go all the way back, I believe. I'm trying to remember, like, I think maybe you do have to use the linking book, the trap book, in order to get back. Which feels slightly counterintuitive, but it makes sense because I think it's confirmed at this point that the trap book is designed to trap Gehn, yes, but also, like, whoever presses it will be trapped inside the book. But if somebody else uses the book, they replace the person that they trapped. So I think we trick Gehn by trapping ourselves, and then he clicks on it, he touches it, and that swaps places with us, and then we leave him in there. And that's how we trick him. I was anticipating a bad end, because it's just fun to get the bad ends, but I think to get the bad end, what might happen is maybe you make the mistake of using the book again. Because if you did use it again, then Gehn would be freed. And he would understand what's happening and would then not let you out. And so you would remain trapped. Because Gehn is not going to keep switching back and forth with you. So then he'd be like, oh shit, I get it. And then leave you in. I think that might be what happens. I think that's how you get the bad ending. I figured there was another bad ending besides just making the mistake of opening the rift too early without saving Catherine. But we'll find out. It's our first time going backwards through this thing. It's a pretty long wait if you recall this thing from the other side. It has to come all the way back. On we go. Everything he said is just so overtly and obviously wrong. These are interesting because it's one of those ending choices that I would refer to as basically being a "did you understand the story" test. Because if you pay attention to everything that's happening, it's extremely obvious that Gehn is just a horrible, horrible person, and that Catherine is still right to oppose him. Yes, Atris's information is outdated, but we literally do read Gen's journal and Catherine's journal, both of which were not written for us. Neither of them, they're both honest feelings from somebody who didn't expect us to read their thoughts because they didn't know that we existed. So we swoop in and get their information. So there's not much reason to doubt them. Yeah, there's the rock that like seems to load out then load back in every time I take this tram. I wonder if me looking at it here will make it load in and maybe it won't glitch out this time. We'll see. He also is like, you see, I had no choice but to be an authoritarian asshole on this planet because, like, I was in danger. Me, the weird invading force on this planet that consists entirely of the Rivenese people, and me, the only person who's from outside this place. Don't you understand? I was in danger, and because of my behaviors against these people, I'm totally going to save these people, even though you read a journal about how I was glad to sacrifice them for my tests and would have gladly sacrificed all of them if I needed to. Don't you trust me? And Catherine thinks that oh, there it goes. Oh, yep, there it is. There's the rock again. And then, and Catherine has gone to believe that she is a god. No. Her entire journal is about how, like, she can't get these people to stop worshipping her, and she's trying to get them not to. And even then, functionally, it was Gen's lies about what happened the day that Atris and Catherine were able to trick him and trap him here and escape. It's his lies about that day that made them such a legend in the first place. It's very interesting to me because, like, there's much of Gen's story is always about his inability to process complex concepts and people and so on. Like, he doesn't understand the art as a concept. He just copies and pastes code like he's Googling JavaScript on the internet. He doesn't understand how to create a stable world because he can't comprehend on complex enough terms how all of these forces interact with each other and what their consequences might be outside of the specific things that he writes. So he creates unstable worlds, and then he creates unstable, like, civilizations and family relationships and so on because he doesn't understand how to navigate those things either. And so he created the rebellion against himself in many ways by accidentally making Catherine and Atris these deity-like figures to these people. Like, he constantly miscalculates everything, and it's consistent all the way through. It's why he's such a bad parent, why he's such a bad everything, really. It also fits in with a lot of stuff like even here at the end, he was given a trap book and he doesn't understand it. He tries reading the book and he has, like, the vague sense that this might be someone's plan, so he's appropriately paranoid. But he read the book and couldn't understand it, so he doesn't know if it's safe or not. He's the only thing that's stopping him from falling for the trap immediately is his own paranoia, which is accurate because he's made an enemy of every person he's ever met in his entire life. But if he knew, he wouldn't do this test on us. And more importantly, if this test works and he then falls for it, that further proves he couldn't read the book. He didn't understand what it said, and he had infinite time to read it. He's kind of just doomed to be a deeply embarrassing person. Anyway, I think you signal him to come back by leaving and coming back. Yep. I don't think he put, like, a button or anything near us.
I'm relieved you've returned. I thought perhaps you had decided against it. . 'Cause, . 'Cause, . 'Cause, . 'Cause, . 'Cause, 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 Here, I shall follow you directly. Please.
Gonna do it, isn't he? No? Does he? I can't remember. Yep. He does fall for it. He got the indecision, but he doesn't have another recourse. He's like, well, he did it, so it must be safe. And now he's trapped inside. Yes. Oh, he couldn't read the book. He's dedicated his entire life to this, and he couldn't read the book. Save us a little time on rewatching cutscenes. Oh, we can only have 10 manual saves. Age 233. This is the one he's trying to write right now, I think. Where is the... Oh, it's in my pocket. Let's get a bad end for no reason by letting him back out.
I don't know exactly why you released me, but you realize, of course, that this must be the end for you. It may provide you with some solace, however, to know that with this act of self-sacrifice, you have secured your place in history. The Dunny culture will be reborn, and the lives of millions will be purified. Thanks to you.
I don't like that word.
Farewell.
Oh, he's a Nazi, isn't he? The lives of millions will be purified. Womp womp. I like how every time you get a bad ending with them, he's like, I don't know why you did that. As if to further be like, dude, did you not pay attention to the story in this game at all? Aha, we're back. But I remembered another approach is that if we just refuse his request again, I think this goes badly for us.
I'm relieved you've returned. I thought perhaps you had decided against it. Here, I shall follow you directly.
Uh-huh.
Please.
Yep.
You're free to go. But I think you should not come back unless you're willing to use the book.
Oh, he's getting annoyed. Oh. Oh, weirdly skipped the rest of the cutscene. Yeah, this game's gonna definitely get a patch in about a month that fixes a bunch of these things, I think. There's a lot of just obvious mistakes like that. Where it's like, whoops, cutscenes are breaking. Loading stuff is unoptimized. I'm reminded of like how when Elden Ring launched, the first open world boss fight was clearly on like a loading boundary. So as you fought him, if you went this and that way a bit on the map, you would constantly cause massive frame drops. And like it was a universally complained about problem of the game that they eventually fixed like in a week or two. But hopefully a bunch of the weird whoopsies will get addressed as they figure out either notice them at all, if they're universal, or figure out which specific hardware setups or whatever might be causing certain things to happen, and then address those. Anyway, I gotta go all the way back there, so we'll do another jump cut. But my understanding, if I were to guess, is that this particular ending I'm going for basically exists as a, like, the other ones were basically like almost like fail safes. Like, hey, you dummy, you didn't you didn't pay attention to the story. You did the actions in the wrong order, and everyone's fucked now. Why weren't you paying attention? Those were all the other fail states are. This one, I think, basically just exists because they don't want to. Oh, I have to wait for it to come all the way back, don't I? I think this one basically just exists because they don't want to have an infinitely repeating cutscene. They seem to specifically be against that approach in this game. Kind of think about how, like, when you meet Catherine, she, like, comes out from behind a cage around the corner, then goes back away and, like, disappears again. I think they just generally wanted to avoid, because the game was originally FMV, they didn't want to have, like, infinitely repeating dialogue or characters just idling around and stuff like that, because it would break the, like, immersiveness of stuff. So in this case, they're like, if you go to Gehn's place, they don't, I figure they don't want to, this takes so long that I always wonder if it's working or not. If you get to Gehn's place, they don't want to have him just stand there forever holding a book going, because he was like a real life person staring at you, and it'd be really weird if he just froze. So he hangs out and lingers a, like, real amount of time where the actor just stood there for a while with the book, and then after giving you a time to react, he goes, okay, well, clearly you're not taking this seriously, and he kicks you out. And then he goes like, okay, second chance, and that was like your chance to like, the second chance is like a fix if you happen to not realize you were supposed to react during the cutscene the first time. But at that point, it's like, okay, now you're just fucking with me. Now you're clearly not doing this. And they don't want to have infinite repeating cutscenes, so they then instead have it be... Is it this one? No. It's presumably coming. Maybe it's not. I don't know. Oh, fuck! Oh, this is how you drop the bottom of it out, isn't it? I don't have anything that I'm carrying, but that does that. But yeah, I think they did this particular thing that's coming up because they didn't want to have, like, infinite repeating things, so he just is done with you at some point. Alrighty, take 3. You made some cool manta ray bird things. Those are cool.
All right then, once more. The only path open to you now is through this book. Take it.
He's frustrated.
See, I have changed. There was a time when I might have let you live. I made that mistake with Atris once. It's a pity you decided not to give me a second chance. Well, there's still time.
All of the endings where he kills you make it very funny. He's like, I've changed. I'm so great now. No punishment would have been grand enough for how bad I was once ago. Nah, I'm evil. That's it. That's the moral. The end. Alrighty. With all that stuff over with, let's go check out Age 233. I've loaded the save where I had captured him successfully before I then jammed my hand back in it and died again. This place is wild looking. Looks like it's also an ocean out there. The waves are technically moving. They look like they're motionless at first glance. Something looks weird about the water. Anyway. What's this? What's this do? Ah. Ah, it makes music. Got it. Oh, it's got the star key. Reinforcing the idea that the locked door you break at the beginning of the game by pulling the hinge out is his door, because there's the key that he uses. I like the opportunity to wander around and see all the nonsense he has here. It shouldn't... I don't think there's a reason to go into the age, because it's irrelevant. It's just kind of a chance to see what he was up to. Some of the totems are here, which means... Oh, he is eating those things you see flying around. He caught one and he's cooking it via like a solar dish. This is interesting. You can rotate the spit. That's interesting. Oop. Then I cut through here and made stairs. The fire pit here with a burned book. That's probably not a good idea to touch. Oh, it doesn't work. No. So he comes down here to burn his linking books. So that means that somebody, the person who found one and stole it, maybe came all the way in here to steal it. Oh no, Gehn sucks so much. Okay, so this cliff just ends here. Alright, so he keeps... These aren't the linking books, sorry. I reflexively call all books in Myst linking books, but these are descriptive books. That's a book that created, or linked to, I guess, but it created that world. He created that world and then he burned the book, which very well might destroy that world since... Well, you don't get a lot of confirmation of how that works because you don't... By definition, you're losing access to that place, but it sure seems like it might literally obliterate it, for all we know. Which makes things precarious and scary. At the very least, he's definitely making these places and abandoning them immediately, which is itself upsetting because he probably made a place that's doomed to die. But also, knowing him and how he always wants people to rule, there's probably people there too. So that's not great. But also, the environmental storytelling seems to be that, like, maybe he had an expedition party that he brought here for his tests, because he did say that he would send people through first. He would send his engineer, his most promising engineer, in first whenever he got one of these places. Is that one mountain just black? It is. The texture's not loading on that one. Whoops. He said that he would send his engineer in and all his most promising people to make sure the place is safe or not. So that itself is worrying. But also, they're not here anymore. They drew this, so this might be like a memorial. Like, I'm starting to worry that these might be memorial, like, graves, each of these places that I've seen, but that he attacks as he goes. But whatever these are, these have cultural significance and they're handmade. And down here, he's burning them as, he's using them as kindling so he can burn the books. That's how evil he is that these things that are either, that at the very least have cultural significance, but might even be headstones for all I know. He's burning them so that he can, to help him burn his descriptive books that are themselves potentially an entire civilization. So he's just so quietly evil and loudly evil at the same time. Like, he's very obviously the bad guy the whole time, and that's the point. But there's like 100 quiet ways he's doing even worse things all throughout, and you're like, ah, man. Gehn has always sucked so much. It's fun to bring him back. Also, I wish he was played by Charles Dance, because he always just feels like Charles Dance to me. I always think that Gehn is Charles Dance. So here's some books. If you can read Dunny, then you can read these. But I'm not going to deal with that. And that is the number, the first digit is 9 and the second digit is 8. That's 98. Yeah, we heard about book 98. That's the one he made before this one, I think, that was already decaying. That's mentioned in his journal. So that's all noteworthy. This is supposed to be, I guess the cover said what number it was. God, it's really hard to read. The plus sign is 6, and the other thing means... Oh, geez. What does it mean when there's a horizontal line and a bar on the bottom? That's like too far into the future of the numbering system compared to what I've written so far. At least I think it is. I think it's a horizontal bar across and then a thing on the bottom, which are both not the, like, ones place versions. I don't know. It might be 15, but I don't think it works that way. I'm not going to pretend to be a master of the numbering system. It annoys me. Interacting with the numbering system, it kind of annoys me. There's a bone in that glass. I guess maybe it's... Is it fat or something from the body that's down there? Did he drain the fat or grease from the thing that he's cooking down there? Oh, more books. So he's got more giant descriptive books ready, but they're not used yet. These are probably all blank. So he's got the equipment that he should need to use this place as a base of operations if he loses Riven. So he was already ready to just move on from Riven and not bother with it anymore. For him, it's primarily a source of human labor. It's even got more of the fire marbles here. What'd that do? It turns off... What does that do? Is this just like a furnace pointing at this book to be ready to burn it or something? Or... I'm not sure what it is. It looked like a shield or a barrier to stop me from using it, but I did use it, so I don't know exactly what this thing does. Either way, it would be bad if I somehow managed to burn the book that lets me leave. What's this do? Just... I figure it just closes the blinds or something. Oh, it's the cage. That makes sense. Okay, so now I can't be trapped if I come back here. Now I don't need him to let me out. Because otherwise, if I came back here again, I wouldn't be able to navigate this place anymore. Because I would load back in inside the cage and can only tag back out, but nothing else. Does this work? This works. What has Gehn been up to around here? It's like a pipe. Sink, I guess. This is plumbing. This is a hologram, right?
Tagamem, san potegan shem, fasi.
Kudos to anyone who can translate that. Not even subtitles to help you interpret it. To Gehn, my husband and my salvation, I dedicate myself to the love that rescued me, I think it says. It's a memorial of his wife. That's his last memory of his wife, I take it. Because I think she died. Yes! Because Gehn's wife... That's Atris's mother, right? Atris's mother died in childbirth, and Gehn abandoned Atris to Tiana, which is Gehn's mother. So Tiana, who raised Atris until he was like 12 or something, was his grandmother or his aunt, something like that. One of those. Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, it was Gehn's mother. And Gehn abandoned Atris until he was old enough to already know how to speak and everything like that. Didn't want to do any of the actual hard work. Just wanted to have somebody to essentially worship him. Yep. Nope. how far back is this? Let's just pick it up from context, because I'm not going to deal with the numbering system. I hate that the hand armrest of this thing pops. I start this latest journal with astounding news. Catherine has returned to the 5th age. And though it sets my teeth on edge to say it, she has also vanished as quickly as she appeared. Okay, so this is very recent. It's during the events of the first game, basically. Technically, probably all happened before the events of the first game, or at least this part. Because it was a while before we even showed up to save Atris. Stolen from me by the rebels. As my guard tells it, she linked into the fissure plateau cage, just as I'd surmised, when suddenly he was set upon by a band of rebels who darted him and spirited her away. I suspect the truth of the matter was that he was so dumbfounded at actually witnessing someone link in after all this time that he presented an easy target for whichever rebel happened to be nearby. The damnable luck of it. He did get a good enough look at her, though, to verify that it was indeed Catherine. He also claims that he inspected all of her belongings and found no linking book on her person, a fact that I find hard to believe, but if true, makes the question of why she's returned here all the more puzzling. While I am sick and with frustration at having lost the only quarry that Cage has ever caught, I am also filled with hope, as she may yet provide me with a way back to Dunny. It is true that I have managed, despite overwhelming odds, to break free of the confines of the 5th age and resume my mission to save my culture from extinction, but I fear that unless I am able to regain access to the vast resources that lie in the city's ruins, the task of resurrecting that great civilization will be impossible. If Catherine did bring a linking book with her, then I am halfway there. If not, then she is trapped in the 5th age, and I can only assume that my emotionally crippled son will soon be along to rescue her. Emotionally crippled son! You're his father! You fucked up! Jesus Christ! Either way, it is crucial to my plans that I find her soon. Her presence here now forces me to take the rebels more seriously. I should never have permitted them to survive this long. Once again, the Great Walk has demonstrated its usefulness to me. The villagers have been difficult to manage in the wake of Catherine's arrival, and their fear of this mythic beast has been all that has kept them in line. Had I known how truly useful these prodigious creatures would prove to be, I would have captured more of them while the local population was still plentiful. Although, to be sure, if these disturbances continue, my current pets will be in no danger of perishing for lack of nourishment, because he feeds people to them. The search for Catherine continues. I deeply regret my mistake of having ever taught these primitive people anything at all about the books. It seems that with each passing day, I more sorely realized the extent to which they were not ready for that knowledge, not even in the simplified manner in which I presented it to them. Their minds, adapted only to the exceptionally menial tasks of village life, are incapable of comprehending the art in all of its complexity, and were thus unable to glean any of the underlying principles that are, ironically, so elegantly simple. It is obvious that so much of the discord that exists between us stems from their failure to grasp the meaning of the information I gave them. If they'd been able to gain even the smallest glimpse of the glorious future I had planned for them, this conflict would not exist. The minds of the children, however, are much more malleable. With the proper tutelage, they have developed a more appropriate posture towards the culture that has given them their lives. At times, they take to it almost as if they had a bit of Dunny blood in them. Given the natives' inborn limitations, however, I am quite careful that none gain a level of understanding that would permit them to sin against their future the way that Catherine did. How foolish I was to think that she could wield such knowledge responsibly, when it was quite clear that my own son could not. So this is why he has a whole school teaching Dunny numbers and language to the young people. That's why he has a dedicated hologram in there and everything. He specifically is trying to groom the children to be brought into their own culture, which is colonialism. Canadian schools with Native American children buried under them. This is just real history stuff happening here. This is just like how indigenous people are treated by colonial forces. Like, you specifically separate the children and remove them from their culture. Like, that's the thing that he is. And he's also doing this while saying all this, like, what's the fucking skull word for the people that think skulls mean things? The eugenicist shit. Whatever. That's the wrong term, but also is similar. But like, he believes that they're inherently limited compared to him. He looks down on them, and even though he has a school dedicated to them, still sees them as genetically inferior creatures. And he's all doing this while also trying to regain a past of a fallen empire, you know, like a fascism. Like, it's just, every single element is in place. Like, he's just so... He's not just like randomly evil. He's evil in a way that evokes every kind of real evil you could give him, practically. In addition to having a child bride and all these other upsetting things, like, he really is just like everything you could pump into a character to make him worse. Atris. Still he remains one of the greatest disappointments of my life. I should never have left him with my mother. By the time I'd returned for him, he'd already been poisoned to all thoughts of aiding me in my noble mission. Perhaps that was the only way she could soften the fact that she had been responsible for the collapse of the entire civilization. So much destruction, so many great lives lost. The guilt must have been unbearable. She did seem to love my father and our world, but ultimately, she was an outsider whose ignorance of the Dunny became the catalyst for their demise. If I am able to rebuild our culture, and in the process correct such weaknesses, then perhaps what she did was ultimately necessary in order that a new and stronger era of prosperity might someday come to pass. I don't have a perfect memory of this stuff, but from what I remember, the idea that Tiana is responsible for the fall of the Dunny civilization is extremely overblown and not especially accurate, and there's just very obviously other people that were much more responsible than she was, but they're racist. And Tiana was an outsider, like Catherine. Like Catherine, Tiana was not a native Dunny. She was a separate indigenous population that was brought in, and she was treated poorly throughout because of the fact that she was an outsider, and she is then disproportionately blamed for what happened because she's the easy target. That's, as far as I can tell, that's what happened. But I have not read that book in like a year, so because I was trying to ramp up for it. And by read, I mean I listened to it on an audiobook. I've been through like Book of Atris like 2 or 3 times. I read it once by hand and then listened to it twice, and then I listened to the other 2 books in one go, and have not like revisited them that much since when I got sidetracked by other projects. But yeah, it's, of course he blames her, because look at how he treats everybody else. It's interesting trying to analyze this stuff because of the fact that you can't necessarily trust the words that people say as just being raw, like, lore. Like, people will disregard things Gehn says when they contradict things that Atris says, because Atris is a more reliable narrator because Gehn's the villain. But being a bit less careful, they will also just accept things that Gehn says that are about things that aren't contradicted anywhere else, that we don't know about from anywhere else, as if he's reliable, like as if he's suddenly reliable once he's talking about things that nobody else can contradict him on. It's like, I don't know, man. Seems like he's just always a jackass that has self-serving interpretations of his entire world. I have been increasingly beset by images from the past these last few weeks. As I stood in the schoolroom today, I was reminded of my own childhood, the years I spent in the Bookmakers Guild, father's immense pride at each of my small accomplishments there. He was an important man in the dunny world, but I cannot bear to think of him for long. It's too much. I was too young to see such things. I have her. Late last night, I received word that Catherine had been apprehended while attempting to persuade some of the villagers to join her. I lost a few men in the process, but I would have gladly paid 100 times that number for such a prize. She's been imprisoned in my old office, where I've been attempting to gain some insight as to the reason for her return. I've had to fight the old but constant impulse to put her in on the gallows, as she has adopted the most infuriating stance of only answering my questions when she answers them at all in her native tongue. Even so, she is a poor liar. I am now certain that her return to Riven was unintentional and that she brought no linking book with her. See. The most infuriating stance of answering questions only in her native tongue. Dude, you've been here for 30 years talking to nobody but the Rivenese people and you don't speak their language? What have you been doing? You're literally a scholar by your own declaration and you never learned to speak fluent Rivenese? How would it be infuriating that she's answering in Rivenese, the language that everyone has spoken to you for 30 years? Like, I get that he's probably forcing people to learn Dunny to interact with him, but holy shit, man, you're so fucking lame. Oh, gee. Even so, she, the linking book, as far as her willingness to share with me the location of the moiety, we shall see. Without their leader, however, they are once again powerless against me. If Catherine's coming here was indeed an accident, then Atris is bound to come for her. That is a given. The question I must now consider is, how will he attempt it? It is likely that his hesitation is due at least in part to this dilemma. One way or another, though, he'll have to bring a linking book to get back. There is no other way. This guy's also so dumb that he had time and he did not ramp up security on the one prison where people get captured and then he needs to steal their linking book from them so that before they wander off. Like, Catherine got away already from somebody just darting whoever was on the job there. And then it just happened the same way when I got here. Like, he didn't prepare in any way. He didn't, like, assign more guards. He didn't say, do a few other things you could do. Like, you could, if you wanted to really catch the person, don't have a lever directly in front of the cage that lets them escape. You could have, like, disabled that. Maybe moved it to a remote location, like your weird throne room that you used to monitor that island anyway. You literally have a camera pointed there. Why is that not where you control it? Like, he controls the door to the church, but he doesn't control the cage from there? He lets just anyone pull the lever? That seems like a design flaw. There's just so many things he could have done in the time he had to prepare for Atris's arrival. And then it immediately failed. Immediately the moiety just got in there and let us go. Great job, buddy. It's late, and I cannot sleep. I've lost so much in my life. My people, my father, my son, and you, my wife, Keta. You were the only true kindness I have ever known. Watching you flicker there in the imager, I sometimes wonder if you were real. If I could restore your life with my pen, I would do so in an instant and leave the rest of the world to their own wretched fate. He's talking about all the things he's lost, and it's like, I wonder how he lost his... Oh, right, no, he lost his wife to birth, right? I'm just like, you include your son along the list of people you lost, like, he's not dead. You just suck too much. You could have just not done this. Damn these savages. I would be well advised to leave them all in the 5th age and begin again with a clean sheet of paper. A stranger has arrived in Riven, with a linking book to Dunny. And once again, my useless minion was overtaken by the rebels. From what little I could decipher of his muddled explanation, it apparently occurred sometime this morning. The cage mechanism has been damaged, but that is no matter. Everything I need is here now. Atris is certainly behind this, but why would he send someone else in his stead, and with a linking book no less? Surely he would have guessed that I would be waiting for him. Such recklessness is unlike him. Could it be that he's had a change of heart towards me, that after all these years he has finally decided to let his poor old father go? I know all too well where his loyalties lie. He is only after one thing. Perhaps the stranger should find her. For now, I need only to wait and observe. I'm beginning to think it was a mistake to allow the stranger to roam freely about the island. In their ignorant provoking, they attempted to power the damaged drawbridge from the temple island, and the entire bridge collapsed. A trivial loss at this point, but it irks me all the same. Had I not managed to free myself from that crumbling age, it would have hampered my progress severely. But again, it is no matter now. The day will soon come when I will be done with Riven forever. Disconcerting news. Last night, a group of maintainers happened upon a lone rebel scout and were able to engage him long enough to learn of a most implausible device. A crystal window, supposedly capable of amending my linking books, much the way that my own remarkable system does. But with one slight advantage: it is small and weighs only a few pounds, making it entirely portable. If this outlandish claim is true, then the artifact in question must be something that Catherine fabricated prior to her capture. No doubt from an explicit Denis schematic that she brought with her. If only I'd had access to such a document all these years. He can't comprehend that she genuinely has the ability to intuitively understand how these systems work and innovate within them. He has to think, because she's a lesser being who isn't a true Dunny, that she must have found a schematic about a cool, crazy Dunny relic, because it all has to be from Dunny and nobody else, because Dunny is the only source of anything, because that's how he's limited his thinking, is he can only idealize progress as a return to Dunny. He wants to make Dunny great again. So he can't comprehend that Catherine invented this. She just did it. Because she can just make things. And he's never been able to do that. He's just so limited in that way. And but he calls everyone else limited, but he limits himself so severely by only searching for Dunny text and only comparing himself to the history of Dunny. He's so fixated on this lost kingdom, he can't comprehend that she came up with new solutions to these problems. It's wild. The portent of this revelation is deeply troubling. Some years ago, the rebels managed to abscond with a dysfunctional linking book I'd intended to destroy. The book was never recovered, but once they had sufficiently atoned for this sacrilege, I graciously decided to let the matter slide, thinking that in their inept hands it could do me no harm. But if Catherine has indeed empowered them with such a device, then the rebels may well have linked to another age. It also means that, is that 98? Is no longer safe. This cannot stand. The stranger is the key to all of this. Tracking their movements has given me a good idea of where this rebel linking book and the crystal may be hidden, but before I can deal with that, I must secure the linking book back to Dunny. Everything hinges upon that. If I can regain access to my arsenal of resources there, I will happily leave the whole of Riven to its own dismal future. Oh hey, imager codes. There we go. Take some of those pictures with us. Keta, Father, and Anna. Anna being Tiana. Anna's like her English name, I guess, like Catherine. Or was Anna her original real name and Tiana was what the Dunny called her? I actually don't know. I'd have to double check that. All I know is she goes by Anna with Atris raising him and would presumably go by her real name. I think she might have been called Tiana before, then changed her name to just Anna to distance herself from her own past. But ultimately, yeah, I can't perfectly recall that stuff. So if I do DK, I'll get Father, and then DK line is Anna. So it's currently set to just them. I don't remember if all this was here before. There's as many identical uniforms. He sucks so much. So, it is really impressive how if you sit really still here, it does look like a pre-rendered background that you might have seen in the prior version of the games or something. So, Catherine was right to be worried because we were in fact being followed and monitored, and he was information gathering, and so we were on the path to exposing the rebellion, which would have been bad. I don't know how well exposing the rebellion would have worked out, because if they came after the rebellion, they would see that they also have a security system based around where the linking book takes people. So like both sides of this conflict knew that they have to make sure they know where the linking book takes people and respond to that accurately. Gehn put two separate cages, both here, one here and one in Riven at the origin points, and at Tay they put they had like an airlock essentially, like just kind of like a chamber with some gates that they could open from the outside, and it was also separated from the city by a lake, so it's just sort of there's a bit of security there too. But yeah, we are lucky in that he was so dedicated to getting the linking book, which was in this case the trap book, but he thinks it's a linking book back to Dunny. He was so focused on that being his goal that he was patiently waiting for us to do basically whatever he wanted, because he needed us to come to him so that he could trap us. That said, he made it a huge pain in the ass to come to him if that was his goal, because we had to solve his entire fucking thing to power the thing. I feel like that's to his own detriment, because he's essentially like encouraging us to learn way too much in the process.
Tagamem, san botegan shem. Fasi.
Okay, I don't think I can control this thing. Oh no, her hair's clipping through her hood. Oh well. Maybe the different numbers are programmed into the imager at the school? I just don't know how to use the imager numbers right now. Let's see. I can update my save, just because I've done a little bit more since then. But might as well leave now. I'll check this. I'll check the school imager. Look at that swooping view. Why does it... I don't think we've ever unpacked why the books have such a scenic, dramatic, like, drone shot way of displaying their own spaces. Let's see. So, I guess this must be... Right. This is how he powers the book. That's why it's got the force field. Without this, the book literally doesn't work. That's the lore here. Gotcha. It's just like the one back there. It's a different system, but it's the local one that he had to make for this particular planet. So, because everyone here is incapable of making books that don't have some kind of outside thing that makes them finished, essentially. And Catherine came up with a really elegant system with her little piece of, like, translucent bark, basically. But he's got this massive, like, world-spanning one in Riven, and then even back there at that place, he has that thing that is the weird field. Okay, so, So next up I need to go to... I might need to load that, actually. Yeah. So if I signal Atris right now, he will be really pissed at me because I have not saved Catherine. I might need to go back in there real quick, which I can do by just loading my save, but I don't know, we'll see if I can find anything. What I need to do is I need to find music, like a music box or something, presumably, because the thing that keeps me from opening Catherine's prison cell is that combination at the front door that has 3 different notes playing in some kind of sequence. And I don't have an answer for that right now. So that's what I need to figure out right now. So, honestly, I think I'm just going to load my old save and go back to that place. Because there was a music thing that I cranked at the beginning, but then I just wandered around. But if I go back, I might be able to write down what the notes are, if they match up at all. Nope, not new game. Not new game. No. It's funny, like 1 second after I leave that place, I immediately think about what I need to be doing. So I figured, well, nothing else to do here. Time to go home and continue the story or whatever. Now that I've beaten Gehn, I'm like, oh, right. I need to figure out how to get Catherine out. Okay, so... Did I ever figure out what that did? Or, anyway. I think it might be this. No. What does the top thing even do? Okay, so this isn't it. I'm looking for like a bang and a chime. That's the cage, right? I remember now. Okay, so I don't think this is the right approach. And there was nothing here, right? Listening for like an opening chime. No, she's talking. I'm missing something around here. Hopefully, somewhere. Oh, there's so many noises. Oh, this is a bad sign. What's up, game? Why can I grab? Is that how you change what it is? Maybe I change the graphical settings? Epic visuals, why not? Can't see them there. Okay. Favors performance. Nope, I think it's just bugged. There seems to be an interactable here. And his journal said to do something to get different things. But it's just busted. Oh no. Hope that patch is good. Hope this game gets a good patch. I guess I don't get to see the two recordings. Is it? Hello. Okay. Brr, ding, brr, brr, smack, right? Okay, it's not too complicated. Let's see. I wrote rattle, ding, RR, smack. 2 more rattles. That's probably enough notes to figure out that. Okay. Well, I got what I wanted, which is I found a thing that makes the noise, because whatever it was that was going to free Catherine, it had to be in Gehn's base, because otherwise you could free Catherine without confronting Gehn. And that wouldn't work narratively. Alright, time to go back until I get to Catherine, which means I need to get to one of the globe locations. Because I can only get to Catherine via the Starry Expanse, which means our trip's not going to be that long, actually, because that means that I just need to go there via the secret cave outside here. Because I just need to go to the closest globe. It's a nice little vacation from our many, many trips where we go, where we have to always go all the way back to the big golden globe again and again, as we keep doing. Because that gets old. Just gotta get through this whole thing real quick. You fools! You can't trust me! It's time for another bad end. Atris, I did it. I captured Gehn. My only objective, remember? I am the story understander, and I beat the game. Bye. You next. Not the cool knife, no. It's a metaphor for the downfall of moiety. Or something.
Where's Catherine?
Ah! Why would you do that?
I don't understand. You've captured Gehn, but why did you signal me? There's no time left. The age is collapsing. I have to find Catherine. Your way is clear. You're free to go home. Farewell.
Whoopsie. Right, I always felt weird about the ending of Riven. You can just jump in the hole. So I guess, yeah. Gehn didn't... No, Gehn did shoot us, huh? Right. In the bad end, Gen's guy shoots us, so we're not good. Otherwise, yeah, if we just fell in the hole, we would go home, because somehow this works?
Gehn is at last defeated.
but at what cost? The age of Riven is gone. And Catherine. There are no words.
Oh, I was supposed to save Catherine, I forgot. Whoops. What an embarrassing mistake. I'm still not entirely clear on the mechanics of the Starry Expanse, because it somehow just kind of drops you in the southwest United States and you're, like, from space? Safely? Or something? I can kind of accept a book dropping from the sky somehow, but I don't know about the man. But I guess he makes it, because he comes back in Mist 3. Anyway, ta-da! Okay, we're back. Let's actually save the world. I know someone's gonna say I'm being too mean to the game and all that, or too critical, but I think it's correct to be somewhat critical because the patch that comes out should fix all the things, right? Like, when you get to the end of the game, Atris probably shouldn't clip through your head during his pre-canned animation where you also can't move and you're always, your camera is always there, but he leans forward and clips his head through your face in the middle of the ending. Like, it'd be dishonest for me not to point out that just happened, and that they should fix that. That's unfortunate. They have 100% control of that situation, so something just went wrong. Let's see. This is the rattle, and that's the smack, so it's... maybe reset it. There we go. Let's save Catherine, the best character in the Myst series. At least the goodest character in the Myst series. I mean, Gehn might be the best character for different reasons. He's just such a fucking nightmare. Oh, where is she? Oh, she was invisible. Oh, where am I? Hi.
Quickly. Gehn's people may already know what's happening. Once we're back with the moiety, we'll have time to regroup. Can I see the book? You did it. You captured Gehn. We're all free. But there's still his followers. I'm not sure what they'll do once they realize he's gone. I have to get the villagers to safety as soon as possible. And you go back to where you first arrived and reopen the fissure. I know it's risky, but it's the only way to signal Atris. I'll try to make it back there as soon as possible, but don't wait for me. Oh, and don't forget the combination in my journal. You'll need it.
She is safe. I captured Gehn and I saved Catherine, and I believe that is every objective completed, and I can now just end the story. It's a bit of a commute to get back there, but it was weird how I loaded in looking over here instead of like they teleported me from there to here, but then they didn't make me face the direction the cutscene was going to happen, and I had to turn towards it. Very odd little moments. Did you? Oh, I don't have a reflection. A lot of this stuff's pretty normal because it's in the source material. A lot of the stuff makes sense because of the fact that does it come back? Have to do the thingy again? This doesn't work. Okay, it's coming. In the source material, these would have been canned scenes where you would just suddenly be over here watching this movie because it's all 2D. So it's up to them to interpret everything into 3D, and there's some cracks here and there. I'm hoping that in a month or two, people will play this game and then they'll see this Let's Play and they'll be like, my game wasn't like that. Because that would mean that they just, you know, finished fixing everything. Let's see. Yep, got a bit of a commute ahead of me. Okay, 3rd time's the charm, right? What could go wrong? Nothing's ever gone wrong. I've always been right, and I've never ever come to this room at the wrong time in the story. Because who would ever do that? I definitely don't just like watching the destroy everything animation play over and over again, while increasing numbers of people are disappointed with me. And that's not a metaphor for anything. On that note... Oh, whoa, what's this? I just noticed those were a lot of leaves. Are there trees on this island? Maybe they weren't leaves. Aren't those leaves? Where are those leaves coming from? Do we have trees on this island? I don't remember. Anyway. There you are. Don't fall in.
There isn't much time. Where's Catherine? Where's the book? I don't understand.
Atris! The villagers are safely in the Rebel Age. I thank you.
As do I. You've accomplished more than I could have hoped for. You've given me back my life. The path home is now clear for all of us. This is where our paths must part. Perhaps we'll meet again someday. You know where to find me. Goodbye, my friend.
Why? No, don't do that. Just hand me the book. No, why would you do that? You could just hand it to me. I could have just held it. Now you gotta just hope I can find it again? Why would you? They're so afraid of showing the protagonist's hands, so they can't interact with anything or be interacted with in cutscenes or handed something. Because yeah, like Atris should hand us the book so that we can link back to him when we want to find him again. He even says you know where to find me.
Endings and beginnings are within the fissure. That riven cleft of stars that acts as both a wall and a bridge. And though I'm unable to understand how, the very flow of stars that brought my mist book into worthy hands, I am sure served as a safe passage home for my friend. The age of Riven has come to a close, but the people of Riven are free. And now I am at rest, understanding that in books and ages and life, the ending can never truly be written.
That ending is unnecessarily sad when you think about it. Like, they send us to go, like, break the rift open because there's nothing else to do at this point. As a side note, I think the Cleft of Stars is what they called the place where Atris grew up with Tiana. But anyway, so a few complications. One, where is the book that Gehn is in? I assume that they must have taken They must have taken the book to... Well, no, wait. Yeah, no, you only leave behind other books. So you only leave behind the book you link through. You can take stuff with you, obviously. That's the... Yeah. So she just still has the book that has Gehn in it, probably. Never mind. Unrelated. But the ending's a bit unnecessarily sad because, like, they send us to go break open the rift because there's nothing else to do for us to do, like, puzzle-wise. The story and gameplay is over. Time to go get the ending. But it makes the ending weirdly rushed, where it's like, oh, she's just barely here in time. And it's like, the one that was cutting it close. Like, what if she was too far away to make it to Atris in time? But also, like, we could have hung out for another, like, 24 hours or so before opening the rift. Because then Tiana, Catherine could, like, visit the people at Tay, where everyone's been evacuated, and, you know, bring a linking book there so that she can visit them from Mist and actually be united with her people in the future. Like, what's tragic about the ending of Riven is that, as far as I can tell, she's saying goodbye to her own people forever in the act of saving them. Like, she saved them all, but after 30 years of being isolated from them and never being able to go back, she then permanently loses access to them because she chooses Atris over them, which I'm not arguing against. Like, they've been married for most of those 30 years, so they're obviously happy with each other. But it's sad that she has to say goodbye permanently to all these people that she still remembers the name of and has history with and was happy to see again. She just has to say goodbye to them all because for some reason we needed to break the rift open immediately and end the game instead of just giving them some more time to, like, make it a linking book and then exchange those and be able to be in touch still and then have them not be lost forever. Especially since, like, what if something's wrong with the new home you set them in and some kind of unexpected consequence comes up that you didn't anticipate? That would be upsetting, but you would never find out because you've permanently lost touch with those people. I could be wrong. A future game might retcon them having access to that home again. I don't remember exactly, but as far as I can tell, the logistics of this ending do not address it. It's some of the goofiness up there with, like, how Atris just throws the book in the rift even though he doesn't have to do that. Like, he did that originally with Gehn because he couldn't let Gehn have the book. But he doesn't need to protect the book. He doesn't need to protect us from the book, or the book from us. We're a friend, that he says, you know where to find me, and then we come back in future games because we have a future. So that stuff's a little iffy. Anyway, this isn't like massive complaints or anything. It's just like I'm just poking at some stuff and being like, huh. Now that I think about it, it's a step up from the first time I played this game where I kind of just didn't fully understand the ending, and I was like, why did this seems like a dark ending. Why did I just fall in the hole? Because yeah, at first glance, it sure seems like falling in the hole would kill you. It doesn't seem like it's sending you home, and it certainly seems like you'd be like lost to the void or sent to unknown locations. Like, it's a slightly hard ending to parse if you just don't preemptively understand what it means, which is that we're just going to somehow just kind of drift back to the United States and just return to our life. Because jumping into a star hole sure seems like you're dying, or at the very least getting lost. So at the very least, it seems like you would be more likely to, like, come home with Atris and Catherine and say hi to everybody, and then be like, oh yeah, yep, thanks for saving us. I'm like, yeah, no problem. And then you link home or something. The problem there being that I don't think they have a linking book to Earth, or more specifically, they have a linking book to Dunny, but they have not excavated their way to the surface. So you can't access the world upstairs directly from Dunny. Technically, they have a linking book to Earth, because that's how you get to Dunny. But that's all they have to go on. So yeah, technically, because that's how the book got to Earth at the beginning of the first game and how we got here, that hole is technically how we get home. But that requires you to remember that entirely based on, like, the introduction cutscene of the previous game. Because I don't think that even this game ever tells you that, because the people whose journals you're reading, like Gehn doesn't understand what's in that hole. So he does say it's like breathable, but that's not the same thing as saying it's going to send you home. So it still takes some unpacking. It's like it's a somewhat confusing ending after everything that happened that often requires explanation, I think. Anyway, this was a breath of fresh air. I had a great time playing through this game. When I point things out, people like latch onto it a little too much, like I'm tearing the game a new one, but I'm just like discussing all of the stuff in front of me. The good stuff, the bad stuff. Obviously, I'm engaged in the story, like more than most games, so I'm plenty interested in that stuff. Who knows which stuff is like me having interesting takes and how much is me misinterpreting something or forgetting something, because there's, once again, 6 games and 3 books, or 8 games if you count the 2 spin-off-y things that build on the themes in some ways, which is a lot. And I played them over the course of years, so I'm probably getting some stuff wrong, but this place was beautiful. It was neat to play through. I was fine getting frustrated with it. I like adventure gamey, one-off puzzle type stuff a bit more than puzzle chamber stuff. So, like for me, puzzle chamber stuff, like the peak is Portal 2, and then somewhere lower down is like Talos Principle and a bunch of other games that kind of follow that formula. But there's just like a roteness to going in from chamber to chamber and iterating directly on previous puzzle mechanics, where it's like, it's cool, but it also wears me down the longer the game goes on. Whereas like in getting to explore and then having to pay attention while you're exploring to piece together all the little tidbits and so on, that's really satisfying. And for that reason, I think Riven is probably my favorite game that Cyan has made, because, I mean, first of all, they didn't make most of the other games, but I also like I do like Myst 3 a lot from what I remember, with Savidro and so on being pretty good story-wise. But Myst 1 is like a little too arcadey, a little too inconsistent, a little too brief and slow at the same time. Like it's a little jarring to go back to it and realize that each age has like one overriding puzzle that is the thing happening in that level. So you kind of just walk around and do the 5 interactions or whatever, and they're like, oh, it's over. And then you leave and get the pages maybe. Like they're still sneaking around, and there's still environmental storytelling about the brothers and cool stuff going on there, but it's like, it's just not quite there. Whereas by the time you get to Uru, I think that I think Uru was by comparison kind of tedious. It's so large and so confusing and lonely and slow, and I feel like I might have a different outlook on that game if I had the chance to have played it in multiplayer from the get-go and online and had like the community experience. But playing it as like a dead mall nowadays as a single player game, it's probably just not the intended experience. But it's just too slow and too big for its own good to some extent, and to some extent it's like too much Myst for what it is. Whereas like Riven strikes a really good balance. Sometimes the commute between spots gets a little rough, where you're just like, I have to go over there again. It's going to take me a couple minutes. Because the game's relatively small, so the travel time taking what it does is a little bit of a bummer. You do sometimes miss playing the 2D version because you could skip cutscenes from what I can remember. So once you've seen something before, you could just click and be past it. So that made the retreading past directions much less of a thing, because like a lot of adventure games have that mechanic where you can skip something you've seen before, and that makes backtracking way less of a deal. Whereas this version did hit me a bit with its backtracking, because you genuinely have to just sit there and rewatch each cutscene every time. So if you need to go through the Golden Void and then redirect and go into the Star Expanse, then use the rail system to go to a different one, then go to the other Golden Globe and load back in through that one, and then hop on a rail car and blah, blah, blah. You're like, it's just multiple entire consecutive minutes of waiting for animations to play out. But I really enjoyed unpacking the story. I enjoyed piecing stuff in with stuff I remember from the other games and books, and even this one at times, and just seeing the ways that the characters are expressed. it's been long enough that I can't tell you which stuff is new versus old specifically. There was moments where I recognized that puzzles were different. Like, both games had an animal puzzle, but I think the first game had a puzzle that involved noticing the sounds animals made, and that never came up. Whereas this one had, I don't remember if the circle of all the animals was in the previous one, along with the totems and everything. That seemed like it might have been different. But definitely, when you get to the top of the Golden Globe, the giant nightmare grid that was in the previous game is definitely not in this one, because that was a little upsetting to have pop up. I think I remember not being as big of a deal as it looked like it was going to be, but just having that interface even have the gall to exist in a video game was like, hang on a minute, guys, whoa. And so that it was interesting to see that just excised and simplified and scaled down, because there was not much reason to have that many squares to begin with. I took like a slightly healthy number of notes, I guess. I have 2 pages, and it's like 1.5 of them are kind of full, but I was kind of doing double-spaced notes. Basically, it's 1 page of me writing down, matching up the numbers that I translated from those totems to the animals, and then another table of me matching up the colors of the lights with the numbers from the signals with the eyeballs was most of the stuff. And then the other page was me drawing the squares and putting the dunny numbers in them for half of a page, so that wasn't that much overall. Never really did take physical notes about the 3-part triangle Rivenese numbers, but I might have done that if I wasn't recording. It's just for the sake of making it easier for myself, but the act of doing it would have taken me multiple minutes, so I just passed over it and did it in my head instead of writing it down, for the sake of the fact that I'm doing a thing live-ish at the time. But yeah, I had a good time. It's fun revisiting Gehn. He's just such a prick. Anyways, see you guys next time. I will probably continue to cover whatever Cyan makes in the future. It was good to come back here and feel a bit better. I think Firmament was a low point for them. I don't think Firmament was very good, unfortunately, and so it's good to come back and play the remake of Riven. But anyway, if you want to check them out, there's a link in the description to a playlist where you can watch me play Myst and Riven and Myst 3, 4, and 5 and Uru and Abduction and Firmament, and then finally the Myst remake a few months ago. It came out like 4 years ago, but I only got to it a few months ago. And then here in Riven. It's all in one big playlist in the order that I played them in, which is Myst 1, 2, 3, 4, Uru, Myst 5. Actually, it's not quite the order. I moved Abduction to be after Myst 5, but that was actually where I started with them. I started with Abduction, then played everything they made since then got to Firmament. But I did choose to do Uru before Myst 5, because as far as I can tell, it takes place there, but at the very least, I think that's where it was released. Anyway, we're just like rambling at this point. This has been Riven. Bye. Also, if you want to support the channel, hop on Patreon, because this entire playthrough has revenue sharing, so I'm not going to be making the normal amount of money, and YouTube doesn't pay the bills anyway. This whole channel only exists in modern year as still being a Let's Play channel in 2024 because of Patreon, because YouTube just doesn't, it's just not sustainable. It's just not sustainable on its own. It's a bummer, but that's the truth. And that gives you either access to the vote I do every 3 months, or if you do the $5 tier, you get early access to Let's Plays, which right now there is like 100 hours of early access Let's Plays, if I'm counting it right, which is a lot. So check those out. It's a whole bunch of stuff that's not to the public yet that you can go through by clicking that collections tab and browsing through that all. Yeah, bye.